So the really exciting thing about my job is that I get to speak to student officers every single day, and they're the students in their students' associations working directly with their institution to make sure that learning is exactly what students want it to be, that it's delivered in the way that's accessible for students, and that it's fun and engaging and exciting, because that's the way education should be. It should be something you're an active participant in rather than just a recipient of. I spend a lot of time talking to my colleagues who work at NUS UK, and it's a very different, a very contrasted education experience that our students in Scotland have to students in the rest of the UK. And I think that what makes it different up here is that genuine partnership, where it's not tokenistic, it's not a buzzword on a bit of paper. It's actually embedded in everything that class reps and lecturers do with students, and that's really exciting. Obviously, the Higher Education Bill has meant that there's going to be so much more student representation on things like Senate, for example, where 10% of Senate is going to be made up of students. The student associations are so active and work in partnership in such a really collaborative and productive way with their institutions, and I definitely think that's something that can be built upon, and NUS has a role to do with that. We do a lot of work with student officers to make sure that they're really at the cutting edge of how representation should work, and that they're bringing more and more people through their door. It's really important, I think, and the thing that I think really needs to be improved is we have to make sure we've got a diversity of people in leadership roles, in class representative roles, helping the institutions to do better and make sure that they're representing all students, and especially the ones that are perhaps categorised as hard to reach. But yeah, that's what I'd like to see, more diversity in who our student leadership is and how that partnership works with the university too. While I've been president of NUS Scotland, something that's been really close to my heart has been the widening access agenda. And I think that we've got a new Fair Access Commissioner in Sir Peter Scott. I think that the framework for fair access is going to be developed over the coming months, and I think that the sector absolutely should have a really strong role to play in that. I don't believe that we're going to achieve any of our ambitions on widening access unless it's a whole system approach, and that's going to involve everyone playing their role and playing their part. So the long-term ambitions, I suppose, match up with those short-term ambitions, and that is that we want to make sure that our education system reflects our communities, and that we've got students from all walks of life able to access education, but not just get in, to actually succeed and have the same experience as their peers from sort of more affluent backgrounds. I think Scottish HEIs are really getting it right in terms of student engagement. It doesn't necessarily mean to say we haven't got anything that we can fix or make better. Of course, the status quo is never good enough and we can always improve on that. But when I look across the Scottish higher education sector, what I see is a genuine culture of partnership, of collaboration, and as students as owners of their education and participants in what it is that they're actually learning and the skills that are going to take them off through their degree and either into further study at postgraduate level or into the world of work. And that's something that I think actually the rest of the country, if not the rest of the world, is really envious of. I think the really distinctive thing in Scotland is that student representation is on such a smaller level because there's only 19 higher education institutions, and so all of our student officers know each other really well, and particularly the majority of the student associations in Scotland are members of NUS Scotland, and so we do a lot of sort of collaborative working, bringing people together to share the practice that they're doing and to make sure that that's replicable. I think that we're really lucky to have a diversity of student representation in Scotland, from huge student associations like Edinburgh University Students' Associations to much smaller like Scotland's Rural College. And the really exciting thing actually is that massive institutions with loads of resources like Edinburgh University have got so much that they can share and so much historical work that they can give to newer and up and coming student associations and say, look, this is some of the successes that we've had that you can absolutely replicate, and that's really exciting.